Rev up your engines!
Now here's a warning about extended warranty. Don Gibson just sent me an email. His parents bought a Toyota Sienna minivan and they paid extra for the best warranty they could get. Supposed to cover anything happens, right? Well, anytime they took something in for warranty, they would get charged about $500 for other things that needed to be done. And that's one of the scams of these warranties. They cover certain things, not others. And then every time you bring it, especially to a dealer, they're going to find other things to make money on, whether they even need to be done or not. I've personally had customers do that and then they decline the work. They said, just do the warranty work. I forget about the rest. Then they bring the car to me and I look at it and said, you don't need any of that work. You don't need brakes. You don't need shocks. They were just trying to sell them stuff to make money. Once they get you in, they want to sell you everything. That's just how those warranty things are, especially at a dealership. There's guys that work there, they're pressured to make money because they got a humongous millions of dollars overhead every year, and you're going to pay for it, whether you have a warranty or not. And here's what he says. Even the warranty work. They would keep the vehicle for days, claim they replaced all kinds of parts, and did work on the car. Never gave them a loaner or anything, and then charged them $500 again that weren't covered under warranty. I knew a mechanic, and I took it to him, and he said, let me see the receipts of what they did. Well, none of that work was actually even done. They were his parents. They were elderly, right? And so here they were at this Toyota dealer taking advantage of elderly people, figuring, hey, they're old, they're not going to jack the car up, look under, see if they did replace the oxygen sensors and all the stuff that they said. They just thought they could rip them off openly, claiming they do things that they didn't even do. Because, of course, see, that's the warranty scam. I knew a guy in Houston, and his warranty scam was he would just make up stuff to pad the bill. He did do the warranty. I'll give him that. He didn't charge the customer $500. These warranty companies that he dealt with only had like $20 copayment, right? So instead of him ripping off the customer, he was ripping off the insurance company. He'd always only charge the customer $20. And if it was a job, say it was a $250 job, right? That it should have been, he got paid $250 from the insurance company and the customer only had to pay a $20 copayment. Instead, the customer paid him $20 copayment and he would make up all this other stuff and give him like a $900 bill, right? But they didn't care because the customer wasn't paying that bill. They were only paying $20. But he was ripping off the insurance company, which of course is insurance fraud, which is illegal, right? Well, in this case, a lot of these dealerships, they just flat out rip people off, making up stuff that they did that they didn't even do. Now, there's a lot of stuff that is kind of hard to prove because I had a customer have that happen at a BMW dealer in Houston. She brought me her car and she towed it over because it wouldn't move. And I went and I said, your transmission shot. So I emptied the transmission. I got the drain plug out and it came out like molasses. Transmission fluid's supposed to be real thin and flow like water, right? This came out like molasses, glug, glug, glug. And I said, did you ever change the transmission fluid? She said, well, yeah, I had it done at the BMW dealer 4 times since I've owned it. It had never been touched because it came out like molasses, right? But you can't see inside it. It was a BMW. It didn't have a dipstick for the automatic transmission, so they couldn't even check it themselves. So their mechanic went under, they took a sample, and you know they're not going to do it, and they know you're not going to do it. So they charge you for things they don't even do. And in this case, hey, the elderly couple found out he and his parents will never go to this Toyota dealer again because they were pulling this kind of stunts on them. Unfortunately, it happens all the time, especially with this warranty work. They always find something else that they want to make money at. They never want to do just the warranty work because they want to make more money than that.
Argentina says, Scotty, I got a 2010 F-150 with a capless gas tank. It displays an intermittent message that says check fuel inlet that goes and comes. It's so stupid. Now, it made sense in its original form. Race cars. They're in a hurry to fill them up. They don't want any fuel leak, and when they take it out, it seals itself and they go back to the race, right? They want to do it in a few seconds. You're not in that big of a hurry at a gas station, right? The gas cap you take off and put on doesn't cost much. When they go bad, you buy another one for $10. Away you go. Those systems, when they break, you got to buy this whole neck assembly, and you're going to pay a mechanic a whole bunch of money to change it out. I hate those things, but you're going to have to change it out if you live in an area where they do emissions testing, because you will fail the emissions test. Now, I know people in Tennessee, they don't do emissions testing, and they have that code for years. They don't care. They just drive it that way and nothing happens. But if you live in an emissions area, you're going to have to replace. It's going to cost you a bunch of money, and you'll wish they had put a gas cap on and you only had to buy a gas cap you can put on yourself. Stupid idea, but that's modern engineering these days. Hey, Aaron says, Scotty, I got a 2012 Scion TC. I hear a spinning disc noise under the center of my dash. There's no CD in the stereo. What could it be? Odds are it's a speedometer. Now, if it only does it when you're driving down the road, that's the speedometer. There's a little stepper motor. It's making a noise, right? But, on the other hand, let's say it makes it while you're just sitting there and you're not moving. Then, there's got to be something going on in there, some kind of relay, or if you have electronic heating and air conditioning control, could be one of the actuators is breaking down and the motor's spinning around and making a noise. But if it only makes it while you're driving down the road, it would be in your speedometer head. There's a little stepper motor, and the motor can make noise as it ages. And if it's that, hey, those things cost a fortune. My advice, turn the radio up a little bit louder. Victor Fernandez says, I'm from Norton, Massachusetts. My mechanic changed my transmission in my Honda Odyssey. He didn't change the filter because he said it's good for $100,000, and I only had $80,000. He said I have to go to the dealership. All right. Well, I don't know what he did. If this clown rebuilt the transmission, of course he should have changed the filter when he rebuilt it. But I'm assuming he just bought a used one or bought one from somewhere and put it in. Hope it lasts. I tell people don't buy those Odysseys because the automatic transmissions stink. They've had so many problems with them over the years. But, you know, you see, you already had to have it replaced. Let's hope this next one lasts longer than the first one. Cars Poe V60 says, Scotty, how do you feel about 300ZX? Are they any good? They're fun, zippy cars. It's probably one of the better cars that Nissan makes. They're old now, and a lot of them are worn out. My grandson and his friends, they always like buying them, and sometimes they get a good one, sometimes they get a pile of junk, and as a present, I think they have 3 of them sitting around. They're taking parts off them and put them on one, making one run. When you get into old sports cars, unfortunately, guys who owned them in the previous years, and many years, some of those are over 20 years old, they're all worn out, and I don't know if I'd buy a used one unless I was prepared to do a whole bunch of work doing them all over. Now, they're classic sports cars. They got a big engine in the front, and they got rear-wheel drive, and they are fun to drive, but be real careful buying a used one. Frank says, Scotty, why do you push boring Toyota? Well, I'm not pushing anything. I'm telling you the truth about stuff, and if you watch the video I made the other day about my son's year-and-a-half-old Toyota Sienna, and they wouldn't fix the seat going up free, and they wanted $900, even though it was still under warranty, you could say I'm not pushing Toyota at all. I'm just showing what's out there, what lasts, what doesn't break down much, and what can be relatively easily fixed when they do break down. That's why I talk about Toyotas and Hondas, because they do last longer, and they do break down less. When you got to fix them, they're usually pretty easy to fix. Nobody pays me. I just tell what I see as a mechanic working on cars. I own nothing but Toyotas and Lexuses because I don't like working on my own cars. I'm a mechanic. Why would I want to spend my spare time fixing cars? I do it all the rest of the time. Fixing customers' cars, talking about them, right? Analyzing them. I don't want to spend my spare time fixing my own cars, so I get Toyotas and Lexuses. Now, if they ever wear out before I conk out, which may not happen, you can easily get wrecked, hit a deer or something, right? Maybe in the future I'd buy something else if somebody's building a better vehicle, but so far I haven't found it. The Sono says, Scotty, the brake lamp indicator in my 01 Honda Accord V6 is on, but all the lights work. Some rainwater drips from the brake lights when the trunk's open. What could cause the issue? Well, you just answered the question. Water's intruded. Your sockets are corroded, and so you'd have to put new sockets in or get complete new taillight assemblies. Now, you can get aftermarket ones that cost a lot less. The way your system works is when it feels the power is wrong going to the bulbs, it puts the warning light on. And a corroded socket will do that. Worn out ground wires will do that. Anything that's corroded will make that happen. So you got water coming out. Probably time to get some more taillights. Now, if you're cheap like me, you go to an auto parts store and just buy the sockets. And you could break the old socket out, put the new socket in, and then seal it with some silicone sealer, and then find if there's a crack in the lens, and seal that with silicone sealer so water doesn't get back in if you're a cheapskate. Like me. I've often done that in my cars. Keith says, my Volkswagen alternator isn't charging. I replaced it with a rebuild alternator. Hell, numero uno, rebuilds a lot of times don't work. If you bought it from an auto parts store, and they can test them, bring it back, have them tested. Could be you just got a bad alternator, right? Now, if not, the alternator has to get electricity in order to charge. It needs electricity to activate the magnetic field, so when it spins, it generates electricity. Check the wiring. You could have bad or corroded wiring going to the alternator. Check that. Also have the battery load test. A really, really bad battery will make it go out. Check the ignition switch. If you turn the ignition switch on and it's not sending power to the alternator, that's the problem. And of course, realize you got a late model Volkswagen. They're very complex. Ultimately, the computer controls the alternator charging. You could have a bad driver circuit in your computer, which is going to cost you a fortune. Pray you just got a bad alternator or the wiring's bad. Check that first. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.